Welcome to the final leg of the Kepler Track. We pick things up from the Routeburn Hut with a mini tour of the hut, a refreshing stop at the Routeburn Falls, and a wander along the river. Then comes the challenging part from Routeburn Hut to Moturau Hut and all the way to Rainbow Ridge. This part of the hike tested our legs and our sanity. The forest felt endless, the kilometers dragged on, and we asked ourselves, are we there yet more than a few times? But between the dreamy beach forest, lakeside chill vibes at Moturau Hut, and the emotional last swing bridge, this final stretch had its own kind of magic. Stay till the end where we share our tips for hiking the Kepler Track, scenic lunch spots on the track, and what we will do differently next time. Plus, the big question, Kepler versus Routeburn, which great walk won our heart? From the previous episode, after a great day on the ridge line, it was time to head downhill. Goodbye my pretty mountains. The Routeburn Hut has 50 bunks split into 3 rooms. The first room has 8 bunks, and this might be the most ideal room because they were all separated and there weren't many people in this room, meaning less snoring. However, you will need to be really early. The second room was on level 2 above the dining area. This has a mix of single bunks and side-by-sides. Because we were late, we settled for the corner side-by-side bunks. This ended up fine because the entire length of the side-by-side bunks seemed to be longer than the number of bunks for that space. So there was a small gap between Mr. G and the other guy beside him. The last room was in another adjacent block with all side-by-sides. A bunch of hikers just arrived and were settling in. The dining area was significantly smaller and somewhat darker. It also felt a little bit more dusty than the last small hut. The toilets were still clean and nice though. The Routeburn waterfall was a short walk from the hut. You can also choose to come back at night to spot glowworms. The hut also has access to the Routeburn River, which you can take a dip or even go for a swim. Do note that the water was very cold though. It was also said that you might be able to spot the whale, also known as the blue duck at the river. They are a threatened species, probably only 3,000 left in the wild, and can only be found in New Zealand near clear and fast-flowing rivers. Given the early dinner and such a long hiking day, we were hungry again by the time we came back from exploring the waterfall and river. Honestly, the apple pie was really good. It was so good that we said we should try another dessert for our next trek. That night, we heard the kiwis, but we were too tired to get out of our warm sleeping bag to go kiwi spotting. The sun left us on the last day, but that's alright cause we were walking out and there will be tree cover to provide shelter from any rain. The Big Sleep was a large landslide caused by a heavy rain in 1984 and is still visible today.
Yêu à? Sẵn.
青椒，那什么 mushroom and lamb risotto， 这个是我选的嘞。这是什么？
也有青椒，
青椒 ，capsicum 有没有？
这个事实证明，有饭的都是正常的。
还有蛋，它有点咸，我不知道为什么。Somehow the fish like meals are a bit salty.
Let me also tell you about the Shallow Bay Hut, which was another 45 minutes walk from the Moturau Hut. If you want to cut some costs, you can choose to stay at the Shallow Bay Hut instead. However, do note that the hut is a standard 6-bunks hut, no bookings required and on a first come first served basis. But it only costs 10 New Zealand dollars per adult per night. The ride back was a short one, only 15 minutes, and the driver kindly dropped us at our accommodation again.
Hello， 哎呦，为什么有摩托车飞过啊 ？Hello， 我要电话的时候就摩托车飞过。Hello， we are back at Tianu after our Kepler Track. Mr. G is enjoying his very crunchy apple. Walau. Seriously crunchy. Okay, let's recap our Kepler. So we took the water taxi from Tianu to the Broadway shelter and campsite, and that's where we started the hike to Luxmore Hut. So okay, on the signboard it will tell you it takes 4.5 hours, but actually it took us about 3 hours plus a little bit to reach to the Luxmore Hut, and actually the weather today was good. So once you clear the forest line, right, and the last half an hour to 40 minutes of the hike to the Luxmore Hut was very scenic, because you can actually see all the views to the Tianu town and the surrounding mountains and the hike all the way to the hut is just very scenic, and yeah, you get all the views. Then Luxmore Hut itself is about 1,000 meters altitude, and I think Luxmore Hut is one of the most scenic that we have seen because it has great views of the surroundings, and the views are just, I don't know how to say that. It's just, it opens up and you get a view of the whole area around you. And yeah, and the Luxmore Hut warden, Mac, was a very passionate, or he is a very passionate person. I think he loved his job a lot. So the hut was firstly very clean, very well taken care. And I think the hut also have enough place for you to be around the hut and not inside the hut. So you can actually hang around the balcony on top, or the area below, just being the outdoor and enjoying the sun and the wind. I mean, there were people suntanning around I don't know how they can suntan in this crazy sun, but yeah, they were suntanning Then from the Luxmore Hut, anything else to add about Luxmore Hut? Go ahead. Okay, never mind.
Very clean.
Very clean. Okay. Okay, anyway, from the Luxmore Hut, that was our day one. Oh yeah, the night sky. So the warden told us that from the Luxmore Hut, you cannot see the sunset. You cannot see the sun setting, but the sun setting behind will actually shine all the mountains in front into the golden brown, very pretty kind of sunset. So anyway, we went out for sunset, which was actually about 8 p.m. So we watched the sunset, which was like, wow, the best sunset. Then about 9 o'clock, that's when after the sunset, right, you can actually see the night sky. And because we had a clear night, right, it was like you can actually see the Milky Way, and you can actually see a lot of stars at night. I think our photos and our videos don't really show how clear and how pretty the stars are but I think it's an experience that you have to go for it yourself Yeah, and yeah, I think we had a very great stay at the Luxmore Hut. If you were to give me a choice, I think I would choose to stay at the Luxmore Hut again. Okay, more on that later. So after the Luxmore Hut, the next morning, so the Luxmore Hut, you can't see the sunset, right? But from the Luxmore Hut, you can see the sunrise. So in the morning, we actually woke up for the sunrise. Actually, everybody was awake already, but they were preparing to leave the hut or to move to the next hut. But we actually stayed on for sunrise. So we watched the sunrise, and you can actually see the sun pop up above the sea of clouds. And it was, once again, another very pretty sunrise that we had. So the sunrise, we had a quick breakfast, and then we packed. And then we left for the next hut, which is Routeburn Hut. So Kepler Track, right, for the day 2, actually day 2 is the most scenic part because it brings you up to the Mount Luxmore summit. On the way to the summit, it was already very scenic. And then after that, you walk along the ridge line, right, which was like super scenic because you actually get views on the left and right. And yeah, and because the weather was so good for us, right? Yeah, I think the views are just very incredible and just out of the world. I think that's the reason why these are called great walks. So just like what the brochure will tell you after a great day at the top of the world, right, you start to descend to the next hut, which is Routeburn. So if there's only 2 shelters, there are 2 emergency shelters along the ridge line. So I think probably it took us about 4 hours from Luxmore Hut from the Luxmore Hut to the Luxmore summit is about 2 hours. Okay. Then that's after the summit, you will hit your first emergency shelter, which is the Forest Burn emergency shelter. So from the Forest Burn emergency shelter to the next emergency shelter, which is the Hanging Valley shelter, is maybe about another 2 hours. So this is the part that was like very scenic, and you can actually take your time and enjoy the ridge line, although it's very hot for us. Hot and sunny for us but I'm not complaining. Then after that, after the second emergency shelter, where you probably can have lunch, there are other alternatives along the route which you can either veer. There are some slight veer off before the I think before the second emergency shelter, in between Forest Burn Emergency Shelter and Hanging Valley Emergency Shelter, there's actually a slight veer off on the right. And then you can actually go up where there are views, and you can actually have a lunch there, which will be a bit more secluded and less people if you were to have your lunch at the Hanging Valley Shelter. But anyway, we had our lunch at the Hanging Valley Shelter because it was just too windy at the viewpoint. But actually after the Hanging Valley Shelter, there's another chance for lunch spot which was a lookout point. So that is probably 30 minutes after the Hanging Valley Shelter. That if you don't want to squeeze with the people, you can also choose to have your lunch there. So after that lookout point is a sharp descent all the way to the Routeburn Hut. And I must say, it's a descent. It's a never-ending descent. I think it probably took us 2 hours, right, to go like zigzag all the way down to the Routeburn Hut. The Routeburn Hut is about 450 meters in altitude, so you can imagine we actually had to drop 500 meters down, and it was like never ending. I think everybody was just very tired after the descent. So okay, anyway, after you descend, you will hit the Routeburn Hut. So we probably reached there about closer to 4. Yeah, closer to 4. So from the Routeburn Hut, I would say it's a little bit more average compared to the Luxmore Hut. But there's a waterfall you can go to, and there's a river stream nearby that you can actually take a dip. So maybe after a very hot day, it will be great for you to take a dip. Okay, but we didn't because we were not kind of prepared for it. And plus, the Routeburn Hut has sand flies. So please bring a bug spray. So I had sandfly bites if you are wondering, which is quite itchy. It doesn't itch for him, I don't know why, but it's very itchy for me. Okay, from the Routeburn Hut, we stay. Okay, from the Routeburn Hut, you can also actually see the whale, which are known as blue ducks, which are quite rare. And then you can actually go for kiwi spotting at night. Anyway, kiwis only come out at night. So if you want to go for kiwi spotting, you have to go out in the middle of the night and bring a torch with red light. We didn't because it has been a long day, right? So we are tired. So we went to sleep. But at night, we can actually hear the kiwis calling. Yeah, you can hear the kiwis calling at night. So I don't know if anybody in the bunk actually left the bunk to go and find kiwis. Okay, we didn't. I just listened to them and then continued to sleep. Anyway, the next morning, we started off a bit early because we were doing a shortcut. Okay, so from here, what happened is that people might just move on to the Moturau Hut and stay for another day, but we didn't. So we chose from Routeburn Hut, we walked all the way to the Moturau Hut, and then we head on another 1.5 hours to the Rainbow Ridge car park, where we arranged for a shuttle back to Tiano. So we kind of did a small variation, which is a little bit of shortcut. So if you look at it, we didn't complete the entire circuit, but I think it was good enough because the last day 3, where we left the Routeburn Hut to the Moturau Hut, right, it was actually through the jungle, the mossy jungles and the fern jungle. It just feels like a never-ending walk out because I think we pretty much took like 6 hours to walk out in the jungle. It's just, the route is not difficult, it's not rocky, it's just a very, very long walk out. Okay, but the Moturau Hut is actually situated in front of a lake, which was actually quite nice. That's where we had lunch. And yeah, you can actually take a break there. So if you stay at the Moturau Hut, you can actually chill at the lake, and I bet you can take a dip at the lake as well. So yeah, but we didn't because we were rushing to the Rainbow Ridge car park to catch our shuttle. Yeah, that's about it for the Kepler Track. Okay, in terms of water, day 1, there was no water. Bring enough water. Day 2, also no water. So I think day 2, I brought about 2.2 liters. Which I think I pretty much left with 200 ml or not much left. I think we drank a lot of water on day 2 because firstly it was very hot and there was nowhere to replenish water. But for day 3, from Routeburn out, right, there were little streams along the way where you can collect water with a filter, of course. But it wasn't as much as the Routeburn Track, but there are still streams that you can possibly collect water. But I would still say to bring about at least 1 liter each to be safe. Yeah, that's for our Kepler Track. Anything else you want to add? Okay, so one tip from us is if you want to do the Kepler Track, I have 2 variations that you can consider because like I said, day 3 was actually walking through the forest. Unless you are a very plant lover and you love plants and you are into insects and birds, right, then I think the last day will be very interesting for you. But I think we are not so much into plants and birds. So one variation I would consider, if I were to do the Kepler Track again, is I will book 2 days at the Luxmore Hut. So day 1, I will head to the Luxmore Hut, and then day 2, I will go from the Luxmore Hut to the Luxmore Summit and then do the ridge walk, and then I will backtrack. I will backtrack to the Luxmore Hut and stay another night at the Luxmore Hut, and then day 3 I will head down from the Luxmore Hut, which I think will be easier than walking through 6 hours in the jungle. Okay, that is variation 1 if I were to do the Kepler Track again. Another variation is I will just book 1 night at the Luxmore Hut. So, of course, day 1 I will head to the Luxmore Hut. Day 2 I can head to the Mount Luxmore Summit, and I will do a part of the ridge walk. There's no need to walk to the end of the ridge walk, but if you are fast, you can always walk to the second emergency shelter, and then walk. And then I will head down all the way to Piano. Yeah, that is variation 2 for consideration. Of course, you can always do day hikes. So day hikes, you can just hike in a day all the way to the Mount Luxmore Summit and then come back. So that is if you are a day hiker. But I think Luxmore Hut is actually worth staying because it's very scenic, especially on the clear view day. And yeah, definitely worth going because I think the hut is very well taken care of. And it's quite a nice place to chill and relax and stay. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Luxmore Hut. Kepler and Routeburn, which is better?
Better.
Which is your preferred one? If you have to choose one and do, which one will you choose? Although Routeburn we have bad weather, so you must imagine it's good weather.
How to imagine? I don't even know where it's what.
Pretend pretend it's good weather. I don't know.
No. Very nice.
Both very nice.
I think both very nice.
Okay.
Both okay.
Oh yeah. We saw the Kia on both tracks, which was very nice. Okay. I think Routeburn and Kepler are deep. I think Routeburn is easier. It's definitely easier than Kepler. And I think Routeburn is a bit more balanced. Because I think the views are more split out on day 2 and day 3. It's a bit more balanced lah. So day 2 also got view, day 3 also got view. And the thing about the Kepler was the day 3, which I felt that like we were just walking out lah. It's just objective oriented to get ourselves out, and there's not much views. But Kepler is the views are more on the second half of day 1 and day 2. So I think Routeburn is a bit more balanced. And Routeburn has like mountain views and waterfalls. I also don't know.
Lake view.
God.
What?
Routeburn got the Lake Mackenzie what? Lake Mackenzie? Although we got bad weather. The Mackenzie Hut lah, and then Lake Mackenzie what?
Oh.
Yeah. So Routeburn has waterfalls.
No, Fiordland Lake view.
Yeah, so I think they are different, but I think Routeburn is a bit more balanced lah. It has mountain views, it has lake views, it has a lot more waterfalls. I think the Fiordland Falls was more impressive. Yeah, versus the Kepler one, which was the Routeburn Falls, was less impressive. But Kepler, what was most attractive was the ridge walk lah, which I thought was very nice. I think Routeburn, I was saying right, I think if in the good weather, the day 2 where you actually walk across the Harry Saddle and then all the way to the Mackenzie High, right? I think that stretch will be very scenic, and there are more alpine plants. I think there was a part that you walk past that I thought was very scenic, although I didn't manage to get a video, and the weather wasn't cool lah. But I imagine if it's very good weather, you will have the left side of all the alpine plants and you get all the views on the right side, which I think will be quite nice. Yeah, and we didn't manage to do all the side trips on the Routeburn track because of the weather. So we never choose between one, choose one lah.
Routeburn, no.
Huh? Really? Okay. Cause we got bad weather, then you want to come back here, right? Okay.
Hey, this Takahashi statue still here after all these years then. We ate a total of 12 pies here. Huh? Full on a weekday at 5:40? What's going on? How can that be?